Welcome to Nitpicking. There's today another secret tech.
Secret tech. We're talking about underrated, underplayed, over amazing red cards.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. Check us out. You can go chat with us in the Discord if you're not sure if we're genuinely awesome people, but I assure you that we are. And if you like us there, you can go to Patreon and you get perks for the Discord, and we'll literally just send stuff to you.
Yep. And so we're hopping right into this video. Secret Tech is a series where we look at the top page on EDHREC. So these are the most played cards in each category: instant, sorceries, enchantments, and we say if it's on there, that's not secret. You can just look on EDHREC's top page and find it. Holy crap. Red has no secrets. And it took us forever to really find some secrets because apparently anything that is even remotely playable in red is played.
Yeah, there was some utility artifacts there that are played less than some of the cards here. But anyway, there's like 350 of those like common go-tos where that page is kind of part of the reason why I don't like going to EDHREC right away, where I'm like, I'm trying to build a deck. I want to make it my own. I want to make it a little spicy. And then you go to EDHREC and you're just like, ugh, I don't even want to build this deck anymore. Have you done that before?
No.
It happens to me all the time when I'm like where I used to. I want to brood more. But these are 10 that you're probably not considering when building a deck. They're pretty out there, but I think they're all good.
Yeah. Why don't you read the first one and we'll get right into it.
Invasion plans. 2 in a red for an enchantment. All creatures block each combat if able. The attacking player chooses how each creature blocks each combat. It's in 323 decks, 0% of all decks it could be in, and it's 56 cents.
Now, this is a static effect for the whole board. So basically, it's like a world enchant. Everyone knows world enchants, obviously. So it's a static effect. Everybody's getting it. You want to be the one who's taking advantage of it the most.
This is really cool. If you have a death touch, first strike, if you just have evasive, like creatures that are just going to get in, or if you play very few creatures, this is going to ruin everybody else's blocks and force them to just start attacking.
Yeah, it's forcing people to attack because if your creatures aren't tapped, you go into a deck with like ways to tap your creatures down and keep them out of blocking. Now everyone's attacking because blocking is awful. It becomes removal. You attack with a 6/6, a 5/5 dies over there. That's not good for you.
Nobody wants that to happen. So this kind of incentivizes you get to take immediate advantage and destroy somebody's life if you have creatures, and then so does the next player, and they're not going to do that to you, so you're protected from them. They're going to destroy someone else's stuff. So that really I feel like this works out so well.
Yeah, it's a cool card, and I think there's probably a few homes for it. I don't think it's like this broken card that should be in every deck, but there's got to be more homes than 320.
I mean, how about that? Sure. Everyone's going crazy about those goat decks. This forces people to attack, and you can ensure that it's not you with the rest of your deck.
Yeah, if you can protect yourself in any way, which is not that hard. There's ways to de-incentivize people from attacking you.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of cards that just says like your creatures have first strike. So give your creatures evasion, go for the forced combat thing. I think this card's going to be good for you.
Yeah, it's perfectly reasonable. Next, Bedlam. 2 red for an enchantment. Creatures can't block. It's in 1,223 decks. That's a 1%er, and it is $5.
Now your creatures have evasion because they're unblockable.
This card's sweet. I think this card's really good. If you make sure you're the aggressive deck, really getting on the ground and going out there, it's really, really proactive, and it's going to end games quick. I mean, if all the power on the board becomes power and not toughness, basically there is no toughness on these creatures. None of it matters. They're always attacking. Nothing's blocking. When it gets to your turn, guess what? Your choice, attack, because you can't block.
All creatures are unblockable. Just read it like that.
Yeah.
No, like creatures are unblockable. That's like a positive thing for yours instead of a negative for everyone else. If you have the most creatures, if you're the most aggressive, you're trying to get the monarch, you have like combat damage triggers on your commander, you can choose when to deploy this. So it's not like if it's bad for you, just don't play it. But you wait for your moment to strike, and you're like, oh, you thought you were blocking? No.
I would say this is probably a really good Boros card. Where when you get all those Boros attacks decks, which is most Boros decks, Bedlam's going to be sweet. It's just going to push through any damage. Like your Inferno Titan that's going to get chump blocked because they have a bunch of chump blocks. Boom, it's hitting every single time. You can fire breathe it if you need to.
Bruce Tarl just giving stuff double strike and no one can stop it.
Yeah, they can't stop it. I think this card is a solid Boros card, and probably it just has more homes than it's in. That's why it's Secret deck. Yes.
Next is Mass Hysteria. Red for an enchantment. All creatures have haste. 1,500 X, 1%er, and it's about $6.
Yep.
This is... The first three are all combat related, and then I promise, like, the rest aren't. It's just happened to shake out that way.
And they're all enchantments.
Yeah.
This card's sweet. I mean, we all know Concorda Crossroads sees a ton of play. It's a very good card. And I understand in green it's harder to get that effect, and it is better in green, but this is the same card. Decks can take advantage of it in the same way, and especially if you're like, I can't buy Concorda Crossroads for like $20. It's a little expensive, and you're in green-red. Hey, there is an alternative. Literally the same card, except it's red.
Yeah, if you've got a giant commander that enters with a bunch of power, but the downside is it's super slow. If you're like Crankoing and you have a bunch of activated abilities that you want to keep doing, well, do them a turn sooner.
Yeah, this card's probably really good in Cranko. I mean, getting the activation of Cranko right away is probably just straight up worth the card already.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything like that, where you can get the card back with some activated ability, the haste being relevant to you. Like in green decks, that's why they use this same card, Concorda Crossroads, because their elves are going to come out. You just need to have that same thing. It can actually just be elves if you're in red or green, but you just want to have things that are going to come out and do something right away. If you're on all out attacks deck, if you're really relying on attacks, this card's super great.
Yeah, and it's still this weird. Yeah, it is going to affect your opponents. So if you have a defensive thing going on, maybe it incentivizes them to attack other people. Yeah. Next is Thermopod. We talked about this recently, so we'll keep it brief. 1,300 X, 1%, 51 cents. It's 5 mana for a 4/3 sacrifice creature. Add a red to your mana pool, and if it matters to you, it's a snow creature, so that'll be snow mana.
Yeah, and do you remember what it does? I think it gets haste if you pay a snow mana.
Oh yeah, it has
we always forget about that part because it doesn't matter, and it's not important to why this card is good. This card's a cool ritual effect. Again, I feel like you can probably combo in a Cranko deck easily. I mean,
it's any deck that wants Phyrexian Altar but can't afford it, and is red. This is totally amazing. It's budget.
Yeah, exactly. It's a Phyrexian Altar. Oh man, I didn't even think about that. This Cranko, Umber Mantle, and like Phyrexian Altars go off.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of infinite combos with this. Anything that makes, there's all the stack element mana things have a bunch of combos. This can contribute to some of those. I feel like we could mention Bruce Tyrell and Cranko for like every one of these. Like it applies to one of those styles.
Yeah, you want to play your Bruce Tyrell Cranko deck partner.
Partner those two. You'll be good. What's next?
We have Null Spine Dragon, 5 red for a dragon, 7/5. It has flying, and when it enters the battlefield, you may discard your hand and draw equal to damage dealt to target opponent this turn.
Oh, this goes right in the Cranko Bruce Tyrell deck. You need to deal massive amounts of damage. What if you hit for 6? This is probably worth it.
I mean, there's a lot of easy ways. If you're playing a deck that wants to burn them out, something like
Naheb.
Naheb, yeah, exactly what I was thinking. Yeah,
Torbrand.
Yeah, Naheb, Torbrand, where you can just spend one card, do like 6 damage, then you can do like throw away your hand. Now play this, draw a fresh new like 7, 8, 9, 10, depending on what your hand held.
Yeah, there's like black, red, sacrifice aggro decks that can just like cheat this out too. Maybe like Rakdos, where you eliminate the 5 colorless. You're already dealing a bunch of damage to them anyway, and then you play red to draw 7.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think this card's just really cool and unique. You just have to make sure that you're able to deal damage regularly. If your deck is continually hitting, continually dealing damage like turn after turn, this card's going to redraw you, especially because red doesn't have much card advantage, and this can get you a ton out of nowhere.
Yeah, it is expensive, so make sure you want to play this effect a lot. Otherwise, it's not worth one of your precious like 5 slots for 6 CMC and up. Yeah. Next is it Chemister? 2 and a red for a 1/3 Goblin Wizard with haste. Red, tap, exile target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. 1 and a red, tap, sacrifice it Chemister. Cast any number of cards exiled with it without paying their mana costs. It is in 600 decks, 0%, and 36 cents. This was an old precon card that everybody apparently forgot about.
Let's go over what the play pattern is for this. You play it, you exile something right away, then for the rest of the time, you just hold it up, and at the end of turns, you're going to put more cards onto it if you need to, or if there's a board wipe, you're going to crack it immediately, get 1 card back. It already replaced itself. It's almost always going to do that. It can just build up over time. It's going to demand an answer eventually because there's a lot of card advantage. If there's like 4 or 5 instances under there, people aren't going to be like happy that you just have them. at that point, you can just go like, okay, I'm going to crack it. You can't stop me. I'm just cracking it.
Yeah, this feels good in blue-red, like the Is It kind of pushes you towards that. But I feel like this can also be in Boros decks, the decks that are like super hungry for card draw, right?
You and your Boros decks.
Well, I mean, mono red and Boros, like those kind of things.
I will not allow you to play your Is It Chemister in your Boros deck.
Hey, it depends, man.
Too much flavor fail.
Oh, that's a flavor judge doesn't approve.
Yeah, the flavor judge absolutely does not approve of you putting Is It Chemister.
Yeah, but it might be a good card in your deck, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't be. Again, it's just sweet card advantage. As long as you have enough instants and sorceries, and you can, when this card comes out, as long as the turn it comes out, you're able to exile a card from your graveyard, that's what you need. That's what you need to ultimately be aiming at, which...
It's cheap. It doesn't cost hardly anything to do. You can still play your spells relatively on curve and just leave up one.
This is like something you could try with like in Queen Marchesa, where you play a ton of instants and sorceries 1-for-1s, and this gets you back all those 1-for-1s.
Yeah, it's like, I get 4 1-for-1s on my 1/3 that I played.
Yeah, exactly. You
can even just and also it does chump, and then you can still activate it.
Yeah, not that that's relevant.
Well, that's one of the ways it'll die. Like, I really need a chump. Okay, I'll draw 4 cards.
Yeah, chump, get back whatever instance. Next we have BZ's gonna read this. I'm not gonna read this.
Oh, it's it might be my favorite red card of all time. Obsidian Fireheart, 1 red for a 4/4. It says 1 red : you put a blaze counter on target land without a blaze counter on it. Now that land deals 1 damage to its controller on their upkeep. The land continues to burn after Obsidian Fireheart leaves the battlefield. Possibly the best reminder text of all time. It's in just under 1,000 decks, 0%er, and it's only 90 cents back from original Zendikar.
Somebody literally put this in their comments recently. This specific
a man
card,
with taste.
I don't remember. I remember. I don't know why. Maybe they said for Secret Tech Red. I know this card was mentioned very recently in a comment.
I love playing with it. I love building around it. You just need to be big mana. That's really all it asks of you. It's like if you're playing that Chandra, that +1s to give emblems. It's really similar to that. If you can make a bunch of red mana, I love this card. It's not even that great. It's honestly just a cool mana sink. Can win games.
It's perfectly fine. BZ just really loves it, and it could never not make this list for him.
Right. It was unavoidable. I think you should really try it. If you're looking for something fun and different to do, like play a big red deck. This is totally good in that deck.
BZ doesn't play this in any of his decks.
I don't have a big red deck.
That's because he's a loser.
I used to play it. It was good. It's killed people before. Moving on to Flame Jab. Red for a sorcery with Retrace, which means you can cast it from your graveyard by discarding a land and paying the red mana. Deal 1 damage to any target. It's in 268 decks, 0% by a lot, and it's 25 cents.
You're looking to take advantage of this in strange ways. Like if you have a lot of extra lands to discard, you're playing a Life from the Loam type deck, or you're just really focused on lands, then Flame Jab has a home. And it's tough because I understand 1 damage doesn't seem that relevant, but it's easy to cast 2 or 3 times in the turn. If you're in the deck that is taking that advantage, where you're going to that Life from the Loam deck, where you're every other game, what are you doing? Oh, I'm gambling for Life from the Loam. That's really what my game plan is.
I think it's weird because the text on this card, all of the relevant text is none of the actual rules text. It could basically say anything in that deal 1 damage slot. Like it could say scry 0, and this is still like just as secret tech as it is, because the thing it does is count for storm / you just cast an instant or sorcery. So in a Spellslinger deck, all your lands now that are extra, when you're Spellslinging, just count as a spell. And you can obviously ping off little utility creatures as you go. And then in a lands deck, like you said, it says discard a land. So you're doing the thing where you're putting a land into a graveyard. That could already trigger some things. And then you get a spell out of it, whatever. But the lands are going from your hand where you don't want them to your graveyard where you do want them.
Yeah, exactly. It just goes in more than 250 decks. That's all.
Yeah, what 200? It's like 10 guys.
10 guys?
It's like 10 guys brewing decks that love Flame Jab and no one else.
You think that there's 10 guys that brewed 26 decks apiece?
Yeah, and then one of them brewed 0.8 of a deck and gave up.
No, all of them brewed.
They all brewed 0.8 deck and gave up. I think Flame Jab's pretty sweet. If you have a Spellslinger or a Lands Matter, maybe somewhere in between, definitely consider it.
Yeah. Next, we have Haze of Rage. It's 1 in the red for a sorcery. It has buyback for 2, which means you pay the extra 2 as you cast it, and it comes back to your hand as it resolves instead of going to the graveyard. Creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Storm. It's in 536 decks. That's a 0%er, and it's only 75 cents.
It's a Storm card that helps you. On the card, it says, here's a way to cast more spells this turn.
It's a really strange card. If you can make a ton of mana go off, I mean, you just need to have attackers. I think this does float between like where are you going with this card? Are you a Spellslinger's deck because it has Storm, or are you some sort of creature-based deck because you need to give them +1/+0? That's where it's a weird card.
This feels like a finisher to me. If you have cast 2 spells before in the turn, then you play this. You guys get +3/+0, buy it back, then just cast it without buyback. Now they get +7/+0, and you're just going to kill people.
Yeah, if you're doing rituals especially, it's very good. Maybe an Adelies type deck is where I could see it.
Oh, yeah, maybe like an Adelies deck is the finisher, because you're going to get triggers off the casting, and then you have a bunch of wizards in play. It just feels like a good finisher to me. Like, it seems rock solid. You can just do it with itself to give your guys, all right, +1/+0, +2/+0, +3/+0. If you just have a bunch of mana, that's +6/+0. You only spent 1 card. You have a bunch of tokens. Send them in.
It's just a weird card, yeah. And you don't even have to spend the card necessarily because you can buy it back to your hand and just have it for next turn.
Yeah, if you got nothing better to do, just clock somebody for 30. I like Haze of Rage a lot.
Yeah, I think it's, again, just a card that belongs in more decks. It's
Underrated. Underplayed.
Secret deck.
Yes, secret deck.
And the last one is Embrath Shieldbreaker, which it's in 1,371 decks, so 1%er, and it is 20 cents. 1 and a red for a 2/1. That sounds awful, but it has an adventure, luckily, where you pay 1 red to destroy target artifact.
Yes. This essentially says when it enters the battlefield, destroy an artifact for 2 and a red for a 2/1. But it's installment plans, so you can get a super cheap 1-for-1 and then play the creature when it matters. But now if you bounce the creature, you get to destroy more artifacts for that cheap installment plan. And if you care about casting instants and sorceries, this is an instant or a sorcery and a creature.
So the main thing you have to care about is you have to care about using the body somehow. If it's sacrifice, red-black does sacrifice pretty well. If it's bouncing it back to your hand, it doesn't matter what you're going to use it for. As long as you're going to use that body, this card becomes good because it becomes very, very versatile. You take this like 1 red removal spell that's super medium. There's a million versions of like that kind of card. Vandal Blast, obviously, a lot better, but we're not comparing it directly. But if you can use that body, this can be better than the Vandal Blast in some decks where you just are like, okay, this body's super important. I'm going to use it to make some mana later with a sack outlet. I'm going to use it to bounce it back to my hand to get that spell back and then just get some more value.
Yeah, I like Embrath Shieldbreaker. I think it's better than the 2 and a red 2/2 that actually just says ETB, destroy an artifact. I like it better than that.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, it's way more versatile.
Yeah, I love the fact that I can pay 1 and then 2 later.
The only thing that that card's better in a flicker deck. That's like the situation where that card's better.
Yeah, then you're in a red flicker deck.
Which is a strange spot to be because red doesn't really support flicker in any way.
Not really. But that's it. That's our 10 secret deck cards. If you like them, you can go to the TCG player link in the description. Early shout out and buy the cards, and then we get a kickback on the order.
Yep, and special shout outs to all of our patrons. We love you all as much as we can without making you uncomfortable. You guys make the channel function. At 100 patrons, which we're coming up on pretty quickly, we'll be rebooting the franchise Chance for Glory,
which is a game show.
Which is a game show hosted by me and BZ. We'll try and mostly not be on the show. We'll mostly just be the host.
Yeah, you can check out the pilot season. we did not get renewed back when we made the pilot episodes, but you can still check them out on our channel.
Yeah, we're looking to reboot that. Do a game show where we do things like Magic trivia, art, where you gotta figure out the art, figure out the flavor text, all things like that. And we even did, what was it?
Well, the ending segment was always like crazy real world thing or magic card. I was like energy drink or magic card.
Yeah, which we did borrow from somebody.
Certainly don't remember who.
You don't remember who?
No.
It's because they did Metal Band or.
Oh,
who did
man.
that? Who did them?
I feel like it was like Riley and Dennis, some combination of them.
Just let us know in the comments who did Metal Band or Magic Card. Because that was a segment on something. So tell us who did that. That's who we borrowed from to do. We did Energy Drink's the one that sticks out. I remember Lightning Bolt being both. It was hilarious.
Yeah. If nobody comments, we're going to take exclusive ownership of this segment.
And Fight Riley Knight.
Separately. That's just for fun.
Yeah, that's what we do for fun. We're coming for you, Riley Knight. We've been creeping up subscribers, and as we do, we grow more powerful to take you on.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a
tidbit about my life.
That's a tidbit about my life too.
Yeah,
we have the same life.
I absorb energy from subscribers in order to be able to fight Riley Knight in the future. Peace out, Tribe
And
Scout.
with that, it's perfect.